You're watching Caitlin Clark's rookie season unfold with a buzz, a Hollywood debut. Cameras flashing, fans chanting. Every move dissected. But behind the highlight reels and jersey sales, something is off. Clark, the most electrifying talent to hit the WNBA in years, hasn't been able to stay healthy. And now we know why. Because Michael Jordan's legendary trainer, Tim Grover, just pulled back the curtain. And what he revealed, it changes everything. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Grover, the man who helped mold MJ from injury-prone rookie to the toughest player on the planet, sees a dangerous pattern repeating itself. He's not out here dropping hot takes for clicks. He's laying out a blueprint that could make or break Caitlin Clark's future. Let's rewind. Caitlin exploded out of college with a fierce combination of range, basketball IQ, and competitive fire. But between April and June, her physique noticeably changed. Reports swirled about her intense strength training program, and fans applauded her dedication. She added visible muscle, looked stronger, more pro-ready. Except here's the twist. Stronger doesn't always mean better. Grover's philosophy, honed over decades of working with legends like Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, and of course, Jordan himself, is deceptively simple. Heal first, enhance second. You don't just stack on muscle and expect the body to keep up. Every added pound of muscle changes how you move, how you stop, how you pivot. And if your body isn't fully aligned with those changes, that's when the injuries start stacking up. Sound familiar? Clark's soft tissue injuries, groin strains, quad issues, hip tightness. They're not random. They're classic signs of a body trying to adapt to sudden change. Grover pointed out that these injuries almost always come when athletes prioritize performance aesthetics over functional movement. And in Caitlin's case, it looks like the rush to get WNBA ready skipped a few critical steps. The result? Clark hasn't been able to play 5 full consecutive games without some flare-up, some tightness, or some precautionary rest. That's not a superstar trajectory. That's a medical red flag waving wildly in the wind. But here's where it gets more complicated and messy. According to sources close to the fever, Caitlin herself pushed a return quickly. That's who she is. She's a competitor. But the team's medical staff? They didn't push back hard enough. They didn't demand a biomechanical assessment. They didn't tailor a training program around her new body. Instead, they put her back out there. And now she's caught in a cycle of strain and setback. Grover's words hit like a wake-up call. Performance means nothing without availability. Meanwhile, tensions inside the Fever's locker room are boiling over. Rumors of resentment from veteran players, subtle jabs from family members on social media. All adds to the weight on Clark's shoulders. She's not just expected to win games. She's expected to rescue a franchise. And now, injured, frustrated, and possibly doubting her team's medical care, Clark is facing pressure from every direction. Even Grover noted that injury isn't just physical. It's psychological. When your body betrays you, your confidence follows. Your rhythm, your decision-making, your trust in your own abilities. It all gets shaken. For someone like Clark, who built her game on anticipation and precision, even a small hesitation can mean disaster. And yet, there's a roadmap to recovery. Grover's methods are rooted in long-term dominance, not short-term flash. His process? Strip it all down. Start with movement analysis. Identify what's firing wrong. Hip alignment, core engagement, ankle stability. Then rebuild from there. Slowly, strategically, intelligently. That's what made Jordan unstoppable after his early groin and ankle issues. Not more weight training. Not harder practices. Just smarter ones. So why isn't the WNBA doing this for Clark? Because, quite frankly, the infrastructure isn't there. This is a league that's still catching up in terms of sports science, individualized medical care, and data-driven training regimens. Players often don't have access to the same level of biomechanical support or injury prevention programs that NBA stars enjoy. And that gap? It's showing. Clark is the league's crown jewel. She's moving merchandise, driving ratings, drawing crowds. But if she's not protected properly, If her body breaks down before her brand can flourish, it'll be a loss the WNBA can't afford. Let's not forget, this league has finally found its moment in the spotlight. Viewership is up. New fans are flooding in. Headlines are popping every day. But underneath that growth lies a brutal truth. Without proper care for its stars, this momentum can vanish in a heartbeat. And that's the warning embedded in Grover's words. Fix this, or lose her. From a purely business standpoint, Caitlin Clark is irreplaceable. From a basketball standpoint, she's generational. But even the greatest careers have turning points. And right now, this could be hers. Will she become the player that transforms the WNBA into a global powerhouse? Or will injuries, politics, and bad decisions rob us of what could have been? Grover believes it's not too late, but it's close. What needs to happen next is simple but bold. The Fever need to reassess their entire training staff. Clark should be given her own performance team, the way elite NBA players are, experts in biomechanics, sports therapy, and performance psychology. Her program needs to be customized, no cookie-cutter plans, no generic rehab, and definitely no rush returns. Because one more re-injury could change her trajectory forever. Fans are already picking up on it. Every limp, every game she sits, every cryptic post-game comment. It's adding up. Concern is growing. Frustration is simmering. And if the WNBA loses Caitlin Clark to mismanagement, it won't just be a tragedy. It'll be a scandal. The saddest part? This was all preventable. Rapid muscle gain without movement retraining. Rushed returns. Locker room tension. And a league still learning how to care for its stars. Caitlin Clark deserves better. So do the fans. And the league? It better act fast. Because Tim Grover doesn't give out warnings for no reason. And if he sees the iceberg coming, you better believe the ship is headed in the wrong direction. You could feel the shift as soon as the ball tipped off, an unspoken tension pulsing through the arena. Caitlin Clark, sidelined in street clothes, sat courtside watching the Indiana Fever scramble to stay afloat in a league that suddenly realized had both a rising star and a glaring problem on its hands. That problem? A fractured system incapable of protecting its most valuable player. While her teammates ran plays, Caitlin remained locked in, eyes darting from screen to court, soaking it all in. She wasn't just watching the game. She was studying the breakdown. And Tim Grover's voice, echoing from interviews and podcasts, must have been ringing in her head. You can't accelerate what hasn't healed. That's the core of Grover's philosophy. And in Clark's case, the WNBA had skipped an entire chapter. Instead of rebuilding her movement patterns after her off-season muscle gain, they had thrown her into the deep end. The expectations were enormous, but the foundation? Shaky at best. Every strain, every quad twinge, every time she limped back to bench, it all pointed back to one thing: mismanagement. Grover explained that adding explosive power without ensuring the body can handle deceleration is like putting a turbo engine in a car with bad brakes. Eventually, something gives. In Caitlin's case, it was her groin, then her quad. Then, who knows what next? And let's not overlook the psychological toll. Clark isn't just battling injury. She's battling doubt, not in her game, in her surroundings. When a player starts seeking outside medical advice, it's never just about treatment. It's about trust or the lack of it. She trusted her team to guide her, to protect her, but the rush to capitalize on her fame and ticket sales has come at a cost. Now, she's trapped between wanting to help her team and knowing that every rush comeback could derail her career permanently. Meanwhile, the locker room dynamics aren't helping. Reports of tension with veteran teammates, passive-aggressive comments from relatives on social media, and subtle body language shifts have only intensified the pressure. And here's the brutal irony. The WNBA wanted a face of the league. They got one, but now they're risking it all by failing to protect their investment. Tim Grover doesn't just fix bodies. He fixes careers. He takes the long view. He knows that sacrificing a few weeks now can mean saving a decade of peak performance later. The Fever and the WNBA as a whole need to ask themselves, are they playing the short game or the legacy game? If they want Caitlin Clark to be the future, they need to start treating her like it. Bring in elite biomechanics specialists. Customize her rehab. Stop treating her like a player in the rotation and start treating her like the generational talent she is. Because if she goes down long term, the damage won't just be to the fever. It'll ripple across the entire league. Ticket sales? Gone. National coverage? Dimmed. Momentum? Halted. And worst of all, trust? Shattered. This isn't just about Clark's injuries anymore. It's about the WNBA's credibility, their ability to develop and protect stars, their willingness to evolve. The players notice. The fans notice. Sponsors definitely notice. Tim Grover noticed. And if the league doesn't course correct immediately, the Caitlin Clark era may go down as one of the biggest missed opportunities in professional sports history. But it doesn't have to end that way, because Caitlin is still here, still fighting, still watching from that bench, probably wondering whether anyone else in the building is thinking long-term. They should be. She's not just a rookie sensation. She's the anchor for a movement, and movements don't wait forever. But even as Caitlin Clark watched from the bench, a clipboard tucked under her arm and a brave smile on her face, the weight of the moment wasn't lost on anyone paying close attention. The cameras panned her occasionally, less now than they did during her debut stretch, but the buzz hadn't died. It had just shifted from admiration to concern, from anticipation to speculation. Was she actually healthy enough to return soon? Would she be the same when she did? Or was this the beginning of a cautionary tale the WNBA couldn't afford? Because let's be honest, what the WNBA had in Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player. It was lightning in a bottle. The kind of generational crossover appeal that happens maybe once every 20 years. If that, she had the range of Steph, the charisma of Sue Bird, the intensity of Diana Taurasi, and the cultural pull of someone who made even non-basketball fans stop scrolling. And yet, instead of handling that gift with the care of a league finally breaking into mainstream, the WNBA let short-sighted decisions cloud the big picture. Caitlin should have been eased into the season, her schedule managed, her minutes capped until her body adjusted to the grueling pro pace. Instead, they threw her into the fire. You could see it in her body language. That bounce she had at Iowa, it wasn't all the way gone, but it was dulled. The ease with which she used to glide into shots, the way her feet would snap into shooting position before the ball even hit her hands. It all looked just a little off. Why? Because her mechanics were compensating. That's what happens when your body is injured, but you're too valuable to sit out. You start shifting weight. Your hips rotate differently. Your groin tightens. Your quad overworks. And before long, it's not one injury. It's 5 little ones waiting to compound into a catastrophe. Tim Grover warned about this kind of thing decades ago. He's the reason Michael Jordan played to the flu, but never with a strained groin. There's a difference between being hurt and being broken. Jordan was never allowed to be broken. Caitlin, unfortunately, hasn't had that same protection. And let's not ignore what's happening around her. You've got teammates allegedly snubbing her on passes. Coaches refusing to build the offense around her strengths. Veterans offering passive-aggressive comments about earning your place. The truth is, some of the WNBA still sees Caitlin as a threat to the old order, rather than the upgrade the leagues always needed. But here's the twist. She's handling it like a pro. No locker room leaks. No Twitter rants. No cryptic Instagram captions. Just game film, rehab, and the occasional deadpan joke during interviews that lets you know, yeah, she sees all of it. That's the part people miss. Caitlin isn't just tough physically. She's mentally engineered for this spotlight. But mental fortitude can't carry you if your body's being set up to fail. And the fans? They're not clueless. They've seen her limp off the court. They've watched her minutes get slashed. They've heard the eerie silence from the team when asked for injury updates. And now, they're starting to whisper the one question that could send a chill through WNBA HQ. Is the league doing enough to protect her? It's not an accusation, it's a plea, because what women's basketball has right now is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, not just with Caitlin Clark, but with the wave she brought with her, the casual fans, the sold-out arenas, the kids holding homemade signs. The dads who hadn't watched a WNBA game in years, suddenly planning road trips to see her live. Lose that? You don't just lose a season. You lose a decade. And no one wants that, not even her competitors. Even players like Angel Reese, who've been painted as rivals, know what Caitlin brings to the table. The league needs her, just like it needs Angel, just like it needs Kelsey Mitchell, Aya Wilson, and all the other names building the sport brick by brick. But no brick matters if the foundation is broken. Right now, Caitlin's health isn't just a storyline, it's the foundation. Her body is the engine pulling the WNBA train. And if it breaks down, everything slows. So what happens next? That's on the Fever, on the league, on the sponsors who are happy to ride the wave but need to start investing in her recovery, not just her image. Bring in a team of elite sports therapists. Hire a biomechanist who specializes in muscle adaptation. Call Tim Grover himself. Whatever it takes. Because here's the truth. If Caitlin Clark plays 12 injury-riddled seasons, she'll still go down as a legend. But if she's healthy and optimized, she changes the sport. She rewrites the playbook. She becomes a bridge, not just for the WNBA, but for all of women's sports, between potential and permanence. That's the version the fans are holding their breath for. The version the game deserves. And the version we risk losing if the people in charge don't start treating her future like the fragile, valuable thing it is. This isn't just about a pulled groin. It's about protecting history before it becomes a what-if. Because here's the part that's hard to admit but necessary to say out loud. Caitlin Clark shouldn't have to be the one protecting herself. She shouldn't have to monitor her own minutes, bite her tongue in press conferences, or carry the emotional weight of a team that's still figuring out whether they want to win with her or in spite of her. That's what coaches are for. That's what front offices and medical teams are supposed to do. Be the adults in a room when a competitor inside a player says, "I'm fine," even when they're clearly not. But what happens when the people around you are too starstruck, too passive, or too focused on squeezing out ticket sales to tell you no? You keep suiting up. You keep playing through it. You keep burning through whatever reserves your body has left, until it's too late. And when that moment comes, and if nothing changes, it won't be the league that takes the blame. It won't be the franchise. It won't be the trainer who misread the MRI or the assistant coach who ran her 38 minutes on a tight quad. It'll be Caitlin Clark. The narrative will twist. The talking heads will say, she was always injury-prone, or maybe she peaked in college. People will forget the warning signs. They always do. That's why it matters so much to sound the alarm now, before it becomes hindsight. And while the public might not see every grimace or stiff walk back to the bench, you can bet her teammates do. You can bet the veterans in the locker room know exactly what's going on. Some might be indifferent. Some might even resent her spotlight. But others, they care. They want to win. They want her healthy. Because even the fiercest teammate knows, when Caitlin's healthy, everyone eats. The offense flows better. The defense stays engaged. The fans stay loud. And the WNBA stays in the headlines for the right reasons. Right now, there's still time. Time to shift the narrative. Time to let Caitlin rest, heal, and rebuild without pressure or PR spin. Time to prove that the league is capable of protecting its stars before it buries them under ticket quotas and streaming numbers. She doesn't need to be a martyr for women's basketball. She just needs to be an athlete with the freedom to recover, like any other top-tier talent would. And if the WNBA can't figure that out, then maybe Tim Grover's words weren't just a warning. They were a prophecy. Because even legends break when no one listens. But here's the deeper problem. The silence. Not from Caitlin. She said plenty in subtle ways, through interviews, body language, and even by seeking outside medical advice. The silence comes from the people who should be raising hell and lighting fires under decision-makers. Where are the sports commentators who build entire careers off screaming into microphones? Where are the former players turned analysts who know firsthand what a mismanaged injury can do to an athlete's future? They're curiously quiet, or worse, complicit, towing the league's line to protect relationships, access, and media contracts. Because calling out the system that fuels your paycheck? That's a risk most won't take. But fans see it. Every time Caitlin checks out of a game grimacing. Every time she doesn't push full speed on a fast break. Every time she passes up an open shot. Not because she's lost confidence, but because that right quad doesn't feel stable. You can't hide pain on national television, no matter how tough you are. And let's not forget the message this sends other players in the league, especially the younger ones. If Caitlin Clark, the poster girl, the ratings juggernaut, the golden ticket, isn't given time to properly heal, what hope is there for a rookie on a short contract or a bench player fighting for minutes? The WNBA is supposed to be evolving, maturing, growing into a fully fledged professional league. But treating players like disposable parts? That's not growth. That's regression. Tim Grover's entire philosophy centers around this. Train to last. Not for one season. Not for a playoff push. But for the long haul. He turned Michael Jordan into a 6-time champion not by inflating his stat sheet, but by protecting the machine. When MJ got injured early in his career, Grover didn't just get him back on the court. He built him up in a way that made future injuries less likely. Strategic strength, balance, deceleration, fundamentals. Apply that blueprint to Caitlin, and you don't just get her back for next game. You get her back for next decade. And that's the kind of thinking the WNBA needs to embrace, urgently, because this isn't just about one player. It's about the league's credibility. It's about proving they can support a superstar without breaking her down in the process. Because once you lose trust with fans, and more importantly with players, you don't get it back easily. So the question isn't whether Caitlin Clark can power through. She can. That's never been the issue. The real question is, who's going to finally step up and protect her before she has nothing left to give? Because if this league wants to talk about legacy, it better start thinking about longevity. And right now, Caitlin's clock is ticking.